Not launching your rocket is the only way to guarantee that you will not lose or damage it. However, you will also miss out on the excitement that a true rocket launch can bring. So let's get started. Rockets come in a variety of styles, but launch prep is pretty much the same for all of them. We'll use the Alpha rocket to demonstrate. Model rocketry calls for a balance in construction. Materials must be lightweight for flight, yet strong enough to withstand the forces of blastoff. I call this the two-finger test. Gently, with 2 fingers, wiggle all the connections that you made in constructing your rocket. Fins, launch lug, engine mounts, and body tube must all be tested before heading out to the launch field. If it comes loose here, we can make repairs before launch. Here's where a quick-drying glue or a glue gun might come in handy. The exception would be the nose cone. We want the nose cone to lift out easily for parachute or streamer deployment. The power of a rocket engine is designated by a letter and 2 numbers, like this A83. I suggest you start with the smallest engine recommended by your rocket manufacturer. My methods differ a little from the instructions. I think it's better to insert the engine into the rocket first, and then place the igniter. You'll notice your engine has a large and small opening. The large opening is for the deployment charge that ejects your parachute or streamer and nose cone. The small opening is called the nozzle. This is where the force is provided for liftoff and flight of your rocket. I differ from the instructions here. I prefer to put the engine into the rocket first and then insert the igniter. There's much less chance of damaging the very sensitive igniter tip. Insert the engine with the small opening facing out of the rocket. A little NASA space powder, or talcum powder, helps here to keep your engine from getting stuck in your rocket. Many rocket systems use a metal hook that snaps into place when the engine is slid into the rocket. Some use a plastic ring that twist locks into place. In either case, it's important to attach the engine with some locking device. If the engine is not secure, it is likely to be shot out of the rocket during the ejection charge, which is supposed to deploy your recovery system. Some engines come equipped with a screw mount for holding the engine in place. This is called an engine lock ring. First, you must test fit the ring in the rocket without its engine in place. Make sure it locks tightly into place and that you can remove it. If the ring won't twist into place, you might need to remove some of the plastic flashing beneath the tab on the ring itself. An emery board works fine to do this. Remove a little at a time because you want it to be a snug fit. Now test fit the engine. There's a hole down inside the rocket that the engine must fit into. The engine will fit well down into the rocket body. You should feel it slip into place. If the engine will not fit through the opening, you may need to sand the plastic. This can be done with an emery board or a piece of sandpaper taped to a pencil or a small dowel. I prefer to seat the engine into the lock ring first. Make sure you do this with the small opening of the engine facing outward. Then insert the engine, line the tabs with the notches in the fin assembly, and give it a twist. Make sure it's in there tight. Great. Now you're ready to insert the igniter and plug. Igniters should not be inserted until you are ready to launch. The end of the igniter is very brittle and must be handled with the utmost care. It's best to use scissors to open the package. Separate the igniters by cutting the tape strip between them. Leave the tape in place, as it helps to keep the igniter wires from touching each other. It's best not to try to tear these apart. These are very sensitive. The igniter is like an electrical match. The black chemical at the end will burst into flame when electricity flows through. This will in turn ignite the propellant in your engine, and your rocket will lift off. You'll need to separate one of the igniter plugs that came with your engines to have it ready for use. If you don't have an igniter plug, a piece of masking tape will work here. Carefully insert the igniter tip into the engine. It needs to go in about 1 centimeter or 1/2 inch until it hits the propellant. Make certain you don't damage the tip of the igniter and that the two wires do not touch each other. Now insert the igniter plug to hold the igniter in place. Carefully bend the wires down away from the metal engine hook. While they're not absolutely necessary, a few extra supplies may save your launch or ensure a relaunch. This could include extra igniters and plugs, wadding, batteries, a parachute, streamer material, and a balsa fin or two. Your toolkit could include tape, I wrap mine around a pencil, scissors, sandpaper, needle nose pliers, great for getting out a pesky engine, instant glue gel, the gel works on wood surfaces too, and a hobby knife.